What's up, guys? I am just going to bring you a final review of my Sony A230. It is a 10.2 megapixel DSLR camera made by Sony. It can take up to 550 shots. It comes with the standard 18 to 55 millimeter lens. I bought the lens hood. I think it's a really decent camera for entry-level DSLR, for people just coming into photography like me. This camera came out back in 2009. There was a 230, 330, and a 380, something like that. I'm not completely sure. I'd have to look again. But I saw this camera at Walmart for around $300, so I just went ahead and bought it because I was on a budget. And I've been messing with it for about a month now, so I think I'd finally get my final review on it and what I think. All the stuff for your SD card and ports are on the left side. With the A230 you have two memory ports for your SD card and your HG Duo with a switch here to switch between your HDMI and USB. If I take this off, this is the lens that it comes with, the 18 to 55. Just take it off for you so you can see inside. There's the mirror and there's the lens. I have a UV filter on it. I recommend you getting UV filters. I'll take it off for you. I suggest that you get a UV filter. It's clear. It won't affect the picture. What basically is for is to help prevent the actual lens from getting scratched up or cracked. Because it's easier to replace a filter than it is a whole lens. Alright. You get your dials right here. Let me get a picture. Your dials right here is to change the f-stop and the shutter. Turn on, this is what the interface looks like. I don't have a card in it, so my computer right now. Here, let's put it in, zoom up. That's the interface. Like I said with the dial, if you want to change the shutter, you just put the dial and it changes. And as you can see, as I'm changing the dial, it's actually relatively quick. There's really no lag. Then if you want to change the aperture, and you see the lens or whatever, the sensor or whatever, you don't see that. It's just because the camera's picking it up. But to change the aperture, the f-stop, you hold the zoom, the AV button down, then you change the dial to change it. It goes up the ISO. You have 100 through 3200. 3200 is relatively noisy. I try to tend to stay away from it. The highest I go usually is about 800 at night, but I usually tend to stay at 1 or 200. Formats too. You can, for quality, you can have it in RAW and JPEG, fine and standard. I suggest you select RAW and JPEG so you have two pictures, one that you can't really edit, but one you can do whatever you want with it. Let's see, what else can we talk? The frames per second of continuous shooting is 2.5, so it's relatively slow. I'll show you that right now. Continuous shooting, and here's an example. It's alright for me, as I really wasn't expecting a high frame rate since this is only an entry-level DSLR camera. But it's still, I still think it's perfect for me. Put the lens back on. I think the picture quality's It varies for me. I don't know if it's because of the settings I use or what, but sometimes, especially at night, when I get done with the picture, it looks like the picture is choppy. Or I've been taking a lot of pictures of sunsets because I love sunsets, and sometimes the color is choppy and it's a little bit grainy. I don't know if that's because of the settings I'm using or what, because some other times it'll be just fine. It'll be crystal clear and all that. So, practice makes perfect, you know what they say. This is where your flash goes. The only problem with Sony is that you cannot have a third-party flash. I've been told you can only use a Sony flash. There's no video on this camcorder. It's all point and shoot. Your user interface is pretty standard. I think it is. It's easy to move around. Your shooting functions, your white balance, I always keep it at auto, or if I really need it, like quickly. But other than that, I'm usually at custom now. Oh, I should point at the camera, shouldn't I? I'm usually at custom now. It helps a lot better in my opinion. I'll change it back to auto. You have different settings. Hold. Let's see, different settings, cloudy, and all that. Black and white's pretty cool in my opinion. Your metering mode, I suggest is always select to multi-segment, and I always have that standard. Your D range optimizer, and I always have that standard. For taking sunsets, I always mess around with the exposure and the aperture to see if I can get a good picture or not. Trying to think of what else to talk about for this camera. It's got steady shot, and if you buy this, you can get this for cheap. It might come with version 1.0, but there's a firmware update to version 1.10. I'll link that in the description if you want it. In the near future, no, not near, I don't know how long it'll take, but I eventually plan on upgrading to either a Sony A65 or a Sony A77, but I'm going to make sure me and this camera have some great times together before I do that. So this is my final review of it. I think it's a great entry-level DSLR camera. I know some people are biased because it's not a Canon or a Nikon, but it's all personal preference in my opinion. You can't really hate on one another or different brands since they're both basically made for all the same things, taking pictures. I think I'll stick with Sony since when I buy my lenses, of course, it'll be for Sony, and I wouldn't want to give all that up. So thank you for tuning in, and subscribe.